Welcome back to World of Warships Legends, the console version of the PC game that I play a lot, and I've got myself a GK. So you know I had to take it out and show you guys the result. This ship is pretty awesome in this game due to the aggressive nature of World of Warships Legends on console. Starting off, we get ourselves a nice disconnect. Thank you very much, Starlink. I appreciate that. And 30,000 damage on a broadside conqueror. Pretty good start. 12 guns, and people that like to go broadside on console makes for a really, really good time. Already up to 40k now with the Stirpits. I've been having a lot of fun with GK on console. It's not much of a secret that I don't really care for this ship on PC, and I think that's just down to the more passive meta. Whereas on console, people tend to push in, people tend to be a little closer, and having this more brawling focused battleship in these close range situations works out really nicely. The build I'm running seems to have decent accuracy as well. I'll go over that at the end. It's a little bit pay to win, not gonna lie, but the accuracy is pretty spicy, as we're only gonna get our back turrets on this Baltimore, but he's flat broadside and actually reasonably close. It's very interesting how people play so much closer on console as we get 2 more citadels. We're up to 100k damage, just like that. But yeah, people play way more aggressive on console, or at least closer range, maybe not more aggressive. It's really down to the different way this game is balanced. The ships look similar, but they actually have different statistics, and you really notice that in the maximum range of a lot of these ships. And it's really just that you have less range, less HP, and the tiers are very much squished together. We're in legendary tier, and that's basically tier 10. It's nerfed tier 10s against some tier 9s and some slightly buffed tier 8 ships, is basically what you can think of legendary tier as facing. It's really more compressed, and it makes it a lot easier to grind your way up to tier 7, which is essentially the tier 8 and tier 9 tier. And I like that, honestly. It didn't really take me long to get myself an Iowa and a Bismarck, grinded up those 2 lines relatively quickly. And the way the dockyard events work here is they're called campaigns. And I've got a lot of campaign ships, and they're pretty easy to get through as well, as long as you're playing the game. So I have quite a few of these tier 7 ships, like in Massachusetts and that kind of thing. So it makes for a lot of fun, close range brawling on this server. And I like that as a more chill kind of couch experience of World of Warships. I wish the main game had a little more of this close range action, as a Shimakaze is sneaking up on me. Fortunately, my Hydro managed to just barely catch him. We know he's not going to come around the right-hand side of this island because we have a Kaba and a Yamato that can cut him off there. So I really just have to worry about him rushing around this corner. And something else that's different about this game, of course, is the propulsion mod. You're gonna see here just how quickly I'm able to accelerate. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious that a GK can get going that quick. It's a lot like a cruiser in the main game with prop mod. It's pretty quick. So getting out from behind this island, I'm not too scared of the Shimakaze rushing me. Something else that's really cool, but also different, is the secondaries. They kind of suck here too, but you have a consumable that lets you get 100% better accuracy, which is really, really nice. It doesn't last very long, but you don't have to wait for that ramp in accuracy like we have on the main game right now. So if, for example, a Shimakaze pops out behind you, you can just pop your accuracy on your secondaries, and you're gonna just melt him. That's really, really, really nice. However, building for secondaries in this game doesn't make too much sense because you don't actually have the pen that you do have on PC. This GK actually doesn't pen 32mm with its 128mm secondaries, which is disappointing for sure. You can see we popped our accuracy mod there, but our Kaba finished them off before our secondaries really could. But yeah, you don't actually have the secondary pen, so it's not really worth building into. And your base secondary accuracy is just so poor that it's difficult to make use of these secondaries as well. You don't really have the Schlieffen of World of Warships Legends yet. We'll see if that comes, but for now, it's not really worth building for, and that's why I've built for main guns. And you can see just how potent these are. We're up to 213,000 damage. And for a 9v9 game mode that generally has lower HP ships compared to the main game, 213k is actually a lot. It's not often that I get a game above 200k in this game. However, that probably happens a lot more in Legendary tier, where GK at least has 100,000 HP. Overall, I'd say there's about an equal amount of fun to be had in the console version compared to the PC one. There's going to be matches like this where you feel on top of the world, where you're just crushing people who seemingly just go broadside all the time. And that's awesome. And it seems like it's just, you know, taking advantage of noobs or people who don't know how to play the game quite as well. But then you get those people on your team and you get these blowout situations where these games don't even last 5 minutes. It's kind of crushing, even more so than the PC game is. So I'm not really sure how I would describe it. I would call it about neutral. There's fun to be had here, but in a little bit of a different way. And there's a very, very frustrating experience here as well, just like the PC game, in a slightly different way. Picking up our second kill there, as, you know, Bismarck's interprets, as they take quite a bit of damage when they're flat broadside. And last, we just have to finish off this Richelieu here. But I have a second game. I've played 2 or 3 matches in the GK so far, and they've basically all been really, really, really good. And that's probably just because this game tends to be a brawling-focused game. To me, it seems like the Legendary tier ships are trying to be balanced around their high cost to repair them after each game. So a match like this, which got 3,000 base XP, still only netted me 176,000 credits with premium. Without premium, you could see I would have barely broken even. So you're not really meant to be playing these ships all the time, and they do feel like this overwhelming powerhouse of ships right now. And I think that has to do a little bit with there not being Legendary tier CVs. We don't have a Midway in this game yet. We don't have the FDR or, well, the Nakamov. Those things don't exist yet. That if those come, it's going to be a very, very different story. You're going to notice there's really not a lot of CVs at these higher tiers as well, which is really nice. It adds a lot of fun to these brawling kind of game modes. But I think that over time, this Legendary tier is going to get a little more saturated, and they've even added rentals of Legendary tiers as long as you have 2 million credits, I believe. So basically anybody can just rent a tier 10 ship whenever they want to. That seems a little bit odd, and probably doesn't help the quality of play at these higher tiers. Imagine anybody could get access to tier 10 ships in the PC game and just go into games as much as they wanted to for a certain amount of time, which actually happened with submarines, if you didn't know. All you needed was a tier 5 or 6 ship to get in the first one, then you'd earn base XP in that one to get the tier 8, and then you'd earn base XP into that one to get to tier 10. A really poor design, and I don't think you should really be allowing these players who haven't played enough battles into these extreme end game kind of scenarios. But for now, we had to avoid the Richelieu, no Republic here yet, Richelieu, from ramming us, and we saved our salvo for a broadside Cleveland at 7 kilometers. I was pretty happy about getting a Citadel there, but we're gonna go through some pretty poor RNG here for the next little bit. We might actually die. However, I do have a special skill, and there's these Legendary tier skills for each commander that change the way the ship functions in many different ways. And the one I'm taking actually reduces the amount of damage each fire ticks for, and the special ability happens when my damage control is on cooldown and I get 3 fires on my ship. It instantly repairs all the fires. So I'm hoping this Cleveland lights me on fire again, although he's actually not going to do that. And the game being almost over here, we're actually going to get a little bit robbed out of our Kraken. So nearly a Kraken and a 250k damage game. I think the last one was something like that. Pretty good result for the first few matches in the GK. As you can see in this one, we made okay credits again, but we actually barely broke even in this one, I think, with 2,500 base XP. Console World of Warships is a lot of fun, but they're slowly adding some of the issues and the problems that the PC game has. For those of you wondering, here's the way I have my GK set up. I know this won't mean a lot to the PC guys, but I am running the Henry J. Hyde commander, which is a pay-to-win commander, and I'm also running one of the Azure Lane commanders, which I'm not going to show because I don't want to get demonetized because I can't turn those commanders off for some reason. It's ridiculous, but it increases accuracy by 4% when fully maxed out. So there's a lot of accuracy buffs. There's some pretty extreme commander abilities that are exclusive to some of these paying commanders. So there's a pretty big pay to win aspect of the console game. So you have to worry about that as well when you're getting into it. But there is some fun to be had, and I really enjoyed the GK here. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.